Hola a todos los estudiantes. Mi nombre es Robert Donkey. Soy jefe de la sección consular aquí en el Consulado de los Estados Unidos en Nuevo Laredo. En nombre de todo nuestro personal, les envío un saludo muy cordial. Quería decirles que para el gobierno de los Estados Unidos es muy importante mantener y fortalecer la relación bilateral entre los Estados Unidos y nuestro gran vecino México, aquí en América del Norte. This year is an especially important year in our bilateral relationship because on December 12th, we will observe the 200th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the United States and Mexico. It's an event that we look forward to celebrating with our friends throughout our consular district, and particularly with our diplomatic and consular colleagues at the Mexican Consulate General in Del Rio. You students will play an important part in the future of that relationship. You know this region. Many of you were born and grew up here. We look forward to you nurturing that relationship in the years of your own lives. Thank you so much.
So our school's proximity to the border creates an opportunity, creates a reality where the classrooms, the hallways are infused with bilingualism, biculturalism, primarily because so many of our students have immediate and direct ties to Ciudad Acuña, whether they grew up in Acuña or have relatives there. Direct relationships with Acuña creates that atmosphere of biculturalism, bilingualism. And because of that, all of our students benefit. And when they leave the city limits of Del Rio to compete beyond our city limits, whether it be at the university level or just in the job, they have that added piece where there's familiarity, and that provides them a competitive edge. You know, some people pay to go overseas and gain international experiences. We're blessed to have them right here, and that forms our vision, our paradigm on how we see the world. So it makes us all stronger. I know that a lot of our athletes compete across the border in different leagues. They get coached by individuals that live across the border, and that makes them a lot more competitive. We also have to consider that Del Rio is a significant distance from other major cities. So where a lot of our kids have to travel to San Antonio and Austin to compete in these leagues, so many of our kids can just cross the border and have that enhanced experience. And when I think of our mariachi, for us, celebrating our mariachi is made richer and stronger because we have examples of how mariachi should perform immediately across the border. And we grow up with that. So naturally, we're driven to do that at a higher level, at a richer level.
Hello, my name is Paloma Villaseñor, first woman consul of Mexico in Del Rio, Texas. My job, to represent Mexico and protect Mexicans in 12 counties in the US. Mexico and the United States are celebrating 200 years of diplomatic relations. Every day, thousands of people cross this border to study, work, buy, or visit family and friends. What defines the US-Mexico diplomatic relationship is a strong partnership based on mutual understanding, trust, and friendship. Of course, there are also challenges. Mexico is the second largest trading partner of the United States. The main commercial partner of Texas is Mexico. Many jobs in both countries depend on the US-Mexico commercial relationship. Let's imagine a bright and prosperous future for the residents at both sides of our border. What would you do to achieve this goal? My most sincere gratitude to Dr. Carlos Rios, Superintendent of the San Felipe del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, teachers and staff of the Del Rio High School for their outstanding support to commemorate the 200th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mexico and the USA.
Good morning, and welcome to the Student Performance Center at San Felipe del Rio CISD. Buenos días y bienvenidos al Student Performance Center del Distrito Escolar San Felipe del Rio Consolidated Independent School District. My name is Sandra Hernandez. I am honored to be your Mistress of Ceremonies. Mi nombre es Sandra Hernández. Tengo el honor de estar aquí con ustedes como maestra de ceremonias. Empezaremos. Este es el 200 aniversario del establecimiento de relaciones diplomáticas de México y los Estados Unidos. Welcome to the 200th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Mexico and the United States. At this time, we will begin with the posting of the colors, followed by the national anthem. Please stand. Por favor, de pie, por favor.
Present. Arms. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Order. Arms. Right coast turn. March.
Please remain standing. En este tiempo, empezaremos con la presentación de banderas y himno nacional de México.
Atención, integrar escolta. ¡Yo! Posición a la izquierda. ¡Yo! Alto. ¡Yo!
Mexicanos, el grito de guerra.
Una por dos. Go. Media vuelta. Go.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Pueden tomar asiento. At this time, would like to welcome the dignitaries and the authorities that are here with us this morning. En este tiempo me gustaría dar reconocimiento a las autoridades y las personas que están aquí acompañándonos hoy esta mañana. Please welcome Lewis Owens, Val Verde County Judge, Eddie Morales, State Representative, District 74. Mayor of the City of Del Rio, Mr. Al Arriola. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Carlos Rios. Joe Frank Martinez, Sheriff of Val Verde County. Mr. Cesar Escojeda, Division Chief, Operational Programs. Our distinguished Consul of Mexico, Ms. Paloma Villaseñor. Our distinguished Consular Chief, U.S. Consulate General in Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Mr. Robert Dalkey. Mr. Randy Estuardo Castillo Tocay, Consul of Guatemala here in Del Rio, our distinguished Consul. Colonel Andy Katz, 47th Flying Training Wing Vice Commander, Laughlin Air Force Base. Captain Daniel Rubio. Technical Sergeant Emily Morris. Mr. Luis Ángel Urraza Dugay, Secretario de Promoción Económica de Acuña. Steve Nunez, President of the International Good Neighbor Council chapter in Del Rio. Former Mayor and Vice President of the International Good Neighbor Council chapter of Del Rio, Mrs. Dora Alcalá. International Good Neighbor Council Parade Chair, Ms. Carmen Gutierrez. Trinidad Herrera, Presidente de Canicitra Acuña. Josué Fernando Tovar Ventura, Director General de la Universidad Vizcaya de las Américas, Campus en Ciudad Acuña. I'd like to recognize our San Felipe Del Rio CISD Board of Trustees, Mr. Raymond Mesa, President. Mr. Jesus Emilio Galindo, San Felipe Del Rio CISD Board of Trustees. And Mrs. Rebecca Becky Chavez, also School Board Trustee. Thank you to our distinguished guests. It is a great pleasure to have you here at San Felipe Del Rio CISD. We will begin our next portion of our ceremony with some speakers. And at this time, please join me in welcoming the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Carlos Rios.
Good morning. On behalf of our Board of Trustees and our entire administration, welcome to the Student Performance Center. I am going to do a brief address in English because it's primarily for the students. So to the students, good morning, and I would share with you that having our state representative, our local elected officials, the mayor, school board, our sheriff, and just so many of the people that came to support this event is with the purpose of emphasizing to you, the students, the importance of diplomatic relationships with Mexico. And so that when you go beyond the borders of Del Rio, beyond the city limits of Del Rio, you carry that as an asset with you. Because at the end of the day, while we may be divided by a geographic border, we are interdependent with each other, and we need to create with our students that understanding so as that you develop in your lives, you provide leadership in that area. We are commemorating 200 years of diplomatic bilateral relationships with Mexico, and those don't grow without an understanding. So we are blessed to have this. Somehow, 150 students were selected. Ms. Salas, I don't know if you selected the students that like birria and you said, let's take those because that's what we're serving today. But either way, students, that is our purpose here today. So many state and local dignitaries here commemorating 200 years of bilateral relations with Mexico. Mexico, our allies. Mexico, our brothers and sisters. Mexico, our family. So with that spirit, we will continue with the event. Welcome again. Thank you.
At this time, it's a great honor to introduce to you the Consul of Mexico in Del Rio, Ms. Paloma Villaseñor. Please join me in welcoming her.
Buenos días. Good morning. I acknowledge the presence of the Mayor of City of Del Rio, Ala Reola, and Alberto de Luna, Secretario of the Ayuntamiento of Ciudad Acuña on behalf of Alcalde Emilio de Hoyos. I don't want to do all the presentation that Sandra has made. Thank you all very much for being here. A special mention to Dr. Carlos Rios, Superintendent of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, for your support, along with your staff, teachers, and students of the Del Rio High School for the extended program to commemorate the 200th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mexico and the United States. They worked hard doing research and looking at great fusion of both countries. Thank you, and I want to give an applause, please join me, to Dr. Rios. Creemos que este ha sido el mejor lugar para conmemorar este aniversario. Thank you to my friend and colleague, Robert Duckley, Consular Chief, U.S. Consulate General in Nuevo Laredo, Ana Serrano, Public Engagement Coordinator, and the officials who came with him, and of course, my appreciation to Consul General Dina Kim for her support. Thank you very much, Robert. La Universidad Vizcaya de las Américas y su rector Jorge Ricciardi, así como su director general del Campus Acuña, Fernando Tobar, desean obsequiar el día de hoy la escultura que todos vieron al llegar, el águila rapaz, a la ciudad de Del Río a través de su mayor. Pues simboliza la amistad entre México y Estados Unidos, así como los lugares representativos de Del Río en la parte de atrás. Thank you, Rector and General Director of the University Vizcaya of the Las Américas in Ciudad Acuña, for the sculpture at the entrance of this auditorium, the Águila Rapaz, that you are giving to the city of Del Rio through our mayor, the artist Alan Delgado. Thank you very much. Gracias también al Instituto Tecnológico Superior de Ciudad Acuña por la escolta para hacer los honores a nuestra bandera. Mexico and the United States share geography and history. The two economies and societies have become strong partners, centered on understanding, trust, and friendship. On December 12, 1822, almost 200 years ago, Mexican diplomat José Manuel Sosaya y Bermúdez presented his credentials as extraordinary and plenipotentiary minister to US President James Monroe, establishing formal diplomatic relations between our two countries. Since then, our commercial, political, and cultural exchanges have grown, and the US-Mexico bilateral agenda these days includes social development and technical cooperation in a wide range of issues, such as energy, infrastructure, environment and climate change, labor, digital economy and e-commerce, chain supply, labor, and of course, migration and security, where of course we have also challenges. A global example of productive collaboration. In the last 2 years, we have seen that diseases take no notice of borders. COVID-19 closed businesses, schools, healthcare, but also highlighted the interconnected nature of the two countries, as well as the need for joint measures from the sister cities. My recognition to the County of Valverde, the City of Del Rio, the City of Acuña, and the authorities for the vaccination program last year of the workers of the maquiladoras of Ciudad Acuña at our international bridge. Mexico is currently the second largest trading partner of the United States. The main commercial partner of the state of Texas is Mexico. Las economías en conjunto de los 10 estados que comparten frontera entre México y Estados Unidos representan en términos comerciales la cuarta economía del mundo. As the relationship deepens, the history of the United States cannot be understood without the influence and historical role of Mexico, just as Mexico's history has been strongly shaped by its proximity to the United States. Entonces, la diplomacia sí es la relación bilateral, sí es un vínculo entre los estados, pero también es una interacción entre sociedades en diferentes niveles, como el cultural. Nosotros le llamamos el poder suave, la diplomacia cultural, o el gastronómico, ya se habló aquí de la birria, o el económico. México ha aprendido a vivir en la globalización y en la integración regional sin perder su fuerte sentido de identidad nacional. The border has become a zone of intense economic transactions involving people, goods, and services. This reflects the great economic integration we have. La relación entre las ciudades hermanas de Del Río y de Ciudad Acuña se debe al acercamiento entre los actores políticos y económicos, como ocurre con el Comité de Promoción Económica del Puente Internacional del Río Acuña, a quienes saludo hoy aquí con mucho afecto. My recognition to the members of the Committee for the Promotion of the International Bridge Acuña del Río for their efforts to bring more commerce to the region. Due to the cross-border impact, I would dare to speak of border diplomacy. Many jobs on both countries depend on the US-Mexico commercial relationship. Sin duda, el TEMEC es el acuerdo económico más importante para México. Busca que la región de Norteamérica en su conjunto se posicione como región líder en el mundo. But the people is the most important resource in both countries. Los lazos familiares entre las dos ciudades han sido más fáciles de sostener gracias a las nuevas comunicaciones electrónicas. Investing in education and training will increase the regional competitiveness, we must keep explaining the students the opportunities of jobs here at the border, for example, at the maquiladoras. Today, as we commemorate 200 years of diplomatic relations between Mexico and the United States, and as the first female Mexican consul, I would like to challenge you, students, to imagine a great future for the sister cities of Del Rio and Ciudad Acuña. Think, what could you do to achieve this goal? Trabajemos juntos, autoridades, empresarios, estudiantes de las ciudades hermanas de Del Río y Acuña, por el bien de nuestra región. I am confident that together, Mexico and the United States, Del Rio and Ciudad Acuña, will continue building a resilient, integrated, mutually supported partnership that will intensify prosperity, boost security, and enhance the two countries' position globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul Villaseñor. At this time, I'd love to introduce to you our next speaker, the Chief of the Consular Section, United States Consulate General in Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Mr. Robert Dalkey. En Cónsul General en Nuevo Laredo, el señor Robert Dalkey.
Gracias. Buenos días. So, on behalf of our Consul General, Deanna Kim, who is on leave right now and therefore cannot be present for today's events, and on behalf of all of our staff members at the United States Consulate General in Nuevo Laredo, thank you for inviting me to participate in this event. Un agradecimiento en particular a Cónsul Paloma Villaseñor por sus esfuerzos para organizar este evento para celebrar el bicentenario de las relaciones diplomáticas entre México y los Estados Unidos. Es un placer, es un honor, es un privilegio estar presente con ustedes aquí hoy en Del Rio. The opportunity to come to Del Rio was one I used to learn more about this community and about this school. I learned that Del Rio is not just Del Rio. Del Rio is San Felipe Del Rio. I did not know that Del Rio was founded in honor of St. Philip. I don't know if it was founded by the Spanish in honor of St. Philip the Apostle or the Italian San Filippo Neri, but it was one of the two. I also learned when I visited the website of the school that it's not just bilingual, it's trilingual, English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. So that tells me something that I learn more every day here working en la región transfronteriza. It's multicultural. It's not just bicultural, and it's changing more every single day, month, and year as more people from all over the world find their way here. It's fascinating. You students are a part of this new world that is taking shape right here in your own community. The United States Diplomatic Mission in Mexico is the largest diplomatic mission of the United States government of any country in the world. And I believe the same is true in reverse. The largest diplomatic mission of Mexico in the world is in the United States of America. In Mexico, we have the embassy in Mexico City, and we have 9 consulates all across Mexico. Besides Nuevo Laredo, We have consulates in Matamoros in Tamaulipas, also in Monterrey, in Mérida. In other regions of Mexico, we have consulates in Guadalajara, Hermosillo, Nogales, Juarez, and Tijuana. It's very exciting to work here in Mexico at a time of so many changes. But amidst all the changes, there are three constants that have always been present throughout the history of our bilateral relationship that is now 200 years old. Number one, trade. El comercio bilateral. Número dos, migración. El movimiento de los pueblos. And number three, la seguridad. Those are still our priorities in the work that we pursue every day in Nuevo Laredo and in all of the other places that I've just mentioned. We, Americans and Mexicans, are fortunate to live on this blessed continent that we share. Consul Villaseñor and I share something in common in terms of our professional experience. Besides working in the United States and Mexico, we both also worked in Canada. So I think we both share an appreciation for all the things that make our North American home such a wonderful place to share. You students are the future of this continent. You come from a rich community, a bicultural community, a multicultural community that faces many challenges right now. You have a wonderful school here. I've worked in many places in the world in my career. And one thing I've come to appreciate is how much we have in this part of the world in terms of education, infrastructure, and opportunity. This auditorium, Del Rio High School that I visited yesterday with its wonderful facilities, its excellent faculty, its beautiful library. So many resources are available here to make the most of the opportunities that Americans and Mexicans have to build a better future for our two countries, for our continent, and for our world. I encourage you to make the most of them. I asked Consul Villaseñor when we were starting if she knew how you were selected to participate in this event this morning. Neither of us know the answer to that question, but I'm so glad you're here. I hope you'll take our messages, and share them with your classmates. I hope some of you will consider careers in diplomacy in the future, whether it's border diplomacy, I love that word, whether it's diplomacy on a global scale, or whether it's diplomacy in your own lives living in this community, where you can be people who have the ability to connect with other people with sensitivity and effectiveness, because those ultimately are the qualities that make good diplomats and successful diplomacy. Thank you so much to all of the community leaders from both cities for taking the initiative to celebrate this occasion. I think you set an excellent example for cities all across both of our countries. I don't know that Dallas or Houston or San Antonio or New York or Chicago or Los Angeles or Washington, D.C. are taking the same initiative that Del Rio, Texas is taking in honoring this important occasion. But I hope some of them are. And I hope that maybe when the 201st anniversary of bilateral relations is marked next year, more of them will follow your own excellent example. On behalf of Consul General Kim, on behalf of Ambassador Ken Salazar in Mexico City, thank you. Gracias.
Thank you so much to our Chief Counselor, Section U.S. Consulate General in Nuevo Laredo, Mr. Robert Dalkey. Next, it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce to you the Mayor of the City of Del Rio, Mr. Al Arriola.
Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? We're all awake? Well, first of all, I want to thank all the dignitaries that are here. It's a pleasure being with you guys this morning. And actually, to thank the students that are here today. It's a blessing having you guys here to really honor 200 years of Mexico's relationships. But, you know, it's something that you guys are going to realize maybe 50 years from now how this day was very important to our city of Del Rio and to the Ciudad Acuña and both governments. You know, really, there's a dignitary here also. Eddie Morales is in the house. Really, it's a pleasure being here. To me, it's really hits home. As a migrant who was born in Ciudad Acuña, Coahuila, I was honored to stand before you as the mayor of the city of Del Rio, celebrating the 200 years. The United States and Mexico amplifies rich diplomatic, economic, and cultural ties. Mexico is one of our most valuable partners, not only in our border city, but in the world. We share many things: a 200-mile border with 47 active land ports of entry, education exchanges. We do exchange students from both cities or both nations, economic development, security, invocation, and such more. And one commonly that we always share is the love we have for our people, so much as that 1.6 million of U.S. citizens choose to live in Mexico. That says something. We may be a neighbor due to our geographics, but we are partners by choice. I would like to take this time to thank our counterparts of the officials of Mexico for the continued partnership and contributions to most of our friendship. May God guide us all. We continue to celebrate next 200 years in partnership with Mexico. Viva Mexico y los Estados Unidos. Thank you for being here. But also, before we applaud, I want to give a proclamation to our consul, and I'm going to read it. This is from the city council and our city management. Whereas the U.S.-Mexico bilateral diplomatic relations is based on a strong partnership centered on the understanding, trust, and friendship, and whereas of December 12, 1822, Mexico diplomatic Jose Manuel Soya and Brumas presented his credentials as envoy extraordinary mystery to United States President James Monroe. This established formal diplomatic relations between the United States and Mexico and the United States of America. Whereas on December 12, 2022, Mexico, the United States, commemorated 200 years of diplomatic relationships, and whereas the commercial, political, and cultural exchanges between Mexico and the United States have grown to such degree that the United States bilateral relations is a global example of produced collaboration. And whereas the focus of events organized the Council of Mexico in Del Rio, Texas, and San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated School District that will take place in the city of Del Rio to strengthen the cooperation and mutual understanding between the residents of the sister cities of Del Rio and Ciudad Acuña and between both countries. Whereas the city of Del Rio recognizes the importance of diplomatic relationship between Mexico and the United States for residents of the border community. Therefore, I, Alvaro Arriola, it's an honor as the mayor of the city of Del Rio to hereby proclaim December 2022 of Del Rio, Texas as the month of bilateral diplomatic relationship between Mexico and the United States. Is Paloma available? Yes.
Please join me. Let's receive the proclamation. Thank you, Mama.
By the way, all this is on Paloma. I think the first day she landed in Del Rio, she started getting things settled in our community, and she's been an asset to Del Rio. I would really hate to lose her one of these years. I'm trying to persuade the boss to keep her in Del Rio for another 10 years. So hopefully that'll be a blessing for Del Rio. Thank you, guys. God bless you.
I need a visa. I need a diplomatic visa to be here.
At this time, I'd like to recognize and introduce el secretario of the Ayuntamiento of Acuña, Mr. Alberto de Luna, who is representing on behalf of Alcalde Emilio de Hoyos Montemayor. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Alberto de Luna.
Buenos días todavía, tengan todas y todos ustedes. Antes que nada, un saludo afectuoso de parte de nuestro alcalde, el licenciado Emilio Alejandro de Hoyos Montemayor, que por cuestiones de agenda se encuentra este día trabajando para Acuña y bueno, también, por qué no decirlo, para esta comunidad, para Del Río, que en estos 200 años que tenemos de relación bilateral entre México y Estados Unidos, yo creo que la relación que existe entre Acuña y Del Río está más fuerte que nunca. Buenos días tengan todos ustedes. Buenos días, saludo al mayor Al Arriola, también un saludo de parte de nuestro alcalde, a la cónsul Paloma Villaseñor, que como bien lo dicen, ha venido a reforzar de alguna manera nuestras relaciones entre México y Estados Unidos con ese arduo trabajo, involucrándose en todas las actividades, no únicamente consulares, sino en lo que tiene que ver con economía, con gastronomía, con educación, con cultura. Gracias, cónsul, por este evento. Saludo también del Consulado General de Nuevo Laredo, a Robert Dalkey, bienvenido y muchas gracias también por acompañarnos. Creo que la presencia de ustedes enaltece y engrandece este evento de los 200 años, y con ello saludo a todos los que se encuentran aquí, autoridades civiles, militares, representantes de las cámaras y sobre todo ustedes estudiantes que están esta mañana aquí con nosotros. Yo creo que se ha hablado esta mañana, quienes me han antes que yo en la palabra, han hablado de las relaciones bilaterales, de la gastronomía, de cómo se ha llevado México y Estados Unidos en estos primeros 200 años, como dice aquí el mayor. Pero yo creo que en este momento nosotros nos toca también, en mi persona, de parte del alcalde, pues hablar de la relación entre Del Río y Acuña. Yo en mis inicios de la vida pública, precisamente empecé aquí en el Consulado de México en Del Río, fue mi primer trabajo, y me acuerdo haber formado parte del tratado, del convenio de hermanamiento entre Acuña y Del Río, que fue firmado el 3 de abril del 2003. Tenemos 19 años de ser ciudades hermanas, pero más que eso, independientemente de ese gran documento, yo creo que hemos sabido compartir, Acuña y Del Río, una relación muy fuerte, una relación únicamente económica, que obviamente ahorita lo comentaron, durante la pandemia del COVID-2019, pues el cierre del puente vino a colapsar un tanto las economías de Acuña y Del Río, y esa es la importancia que hay entre Acuña y Del Río, esa es la importancia que hay en esta región. Acuña y Del Río, al igual que con el apoyo de los gobiernos federales, estatales, pues hemos sabido conservar una paz y una tranquilidad, y eso ha generado que vengan inversiones a nuestra comunidad. Y digo comunidad por no decir Acuña y Del Río, porque somos una comunidad hermana. Estuvimos hace poco en la base aérea también por allá visitándolos, y nos decían ahí en la base que pues también formáramos parte de esta comunidad Laughlin que se encuentran aquí, y esa es la idea, ¿no?, de seguir adelante con esta relación binacional, con esta relación entre ambas ciudades, de preocuparnos tanto la ciudad del Río como Acuña por el crecimiento y el desarrollo de nuestro municipio. Yo me atrevo a decir que somos pocas las fronteras que contamos con un un convenio, un decreto de hermanamiento, pero sobre todo que contamos con esta relación que existe, con tantos alumnos que están aquí, que viven en Acuña y vienen a la escuela y viceversa, porque sé también de muchachos que son ciudadanos americanos y estudian en Acuña. Entonces yo creo que eso nos ha llevado a fortalecer más nuestra cultura. Hablamos de gastronomía, pues yo creo que también nosotros venimos de Acuña y deleitamos aquí buena gastronomía en Estados Unidos como van de aquí del Río. Hablamos de promoción económica. Hoy contamos con cámaras de comercio tanto en Acuña del Río, con comités de promoción económica que más allá pudieran fortalecer la relación, vienen a llevar a otras partes de nuestros países, tanto de Estados Unidos como de México, el buen crecimiento, pero sobre todo la paz y la tranquilidad de ambas ciudades. Yo con esto no quiero ahondar más, simplemente felicitar al Consulado de México en Del Río por haber organizado este bonito evento de celebrar los 200 años de esta relación bilateral, de esta relación diplomática entre México y Estados Unidos, al mayor también por permitirnos y por seguir trabajando muy de la mano con nuestro alcalde, el licenciado Emilio de Hoyos, en la promoción, en el desarrollo de nuestras ciudades. De veras, mayor, que nuestras felicidades. Hemos ido caminando en muchos proyectos. Hoy vemos un proyecto que ayer estuvimos ahí platicando sobre la posibilidad de un carril más al puente internacional, y esto nos lleva pues a pensar de que sí, las autoridades hoy nos encontramos preocupadas por el crecimiento y el desarrollo, pero si no hubiera esa paz y tranquilidad que impera en la frontera, pues difícilmente pudiéramos hablar de este desarrollo que estamos pensando para Acuña. Mis felicidades para todos ustedes, para las autoridades que aquí nos acompañan. Jóvenes, ustedes estudiantes, muchas felicidades por ser parte y estar compartiendo estos 200 años de relaciones bilaterales diplomáticas entre México y Estados Unidos. Estoy seguro que muchos de ustedes también van a poder más allá estar celebrando a lo mejor 50 años, 100, ojalá que pudiéramos, ¿verdad? Pero yo sé que son parte del futuro de estas comunidades. Sigamos trabajando, sigamos apoyándolos, estamos haciendo un gran esfuerzo nosotros los gobiernos para que ustedes jóvenes tengan las condiciones adecuadas para salir adelante y para poderse desarrollar. Mis felicidades para todos y muchas gracias de parte de nuestro alcalde, el licenciado Emilio de Hoyos. Gracias, cónsul.
Let's thank one more time Mr. Alberto de Luna for his presentation on behalf of Alcalde Emilio de Hoyos Montemayor. Our next speaker is the State of Texas Representative, District 74, Congressman Eddie Morales. Please join me in welcoming our Congressman Eddie Morales.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos días a todos. Gracias. Quería darle primeramente las gracias a Paloma y a Gabriel por invitarnos a este evento tan bonito para poder reconocer las relaciones entre México y Estados Unidos. Y a cada uno de ustedes también. Tengo una breve presentación y también se va a preparar o se va a dictar una resolución que preparamos en el Capitolio. Pero primeramente, let me start with some remarks. It is truly special to be able to all come together today to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the United States and Mexico's bilateral diplomatic relationship. Thank you everyone for coming here today, and thank you all for your warm welcome and having me. For those of you who may not know, I was born in Piedras Negras and grew up in Eagle Pass other than the 4 years that I was at the University of Texas and then 3 years in San Antonio at St. Mary's Law School. So I was raised on the border. I grew up in a colonia. I'm sure for those of us living on the border, you know what a colonia is. We don't have all of the basic infrastructure in place. There's still some colonias on the border, and we're working heavily there in the Austin capital to try to fix that. But that shows you a little bit. Maybe some of you all may have come from there, and just want to let you know, as a first-generation immigrant, the sky's the limit, especially when you come to the United States and you can make your own future. I'm still very proud to call it my home. My mother still lives, and a lot of my relatives still live in that subdivision. Just like many of you here, I know the importance of the border, the importance to maintain good working relations, the importance of improving economic growth in the region, the importance of making sure our families on either side of the border retain their freedom to see one another, to travel freely and maintain our lively communities that make us special. But like any community, the work must always continue to get done. The Texas-Mexico border is a critical foundation in both Mexico and the United States economy, especially for Texas. Texas is a leader among states and is the #1 exporting state in the country. Through 2 centuries of hard work, determination, and cooperation, Mexico is Texas' #1 trading partner. In the past decade, Texas and Mexico have set record investments to continue the economic successes we have seen. In the past decade alone, Mexico has made nearly over $4 billion in capital investments, spurring growth, innovation, and development throughout the state. As the next legislative session approaches in mid-January, it cannot and will not be lost on legislators' minds the importance of our relationship with Mexico to foster, sustain, and build upon our diplomatic and economic alliances. And I ensure my personal commitment to improving access to expanding our ports of entry, funding new rail lines, to make sure we set up ourselves and future generations for long-term success. We came here today to celebrate 200 years of hard work and cooperation. Though we won't be around to see it, I am beyond optimistic and excited for the possibilities that lie 200 years from now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it going. It's a great first start for the first 200 years. I can only imagine where we'll be in the next 200 years, and you all can make that possible. Thank you very much. You want me to read it? Paloma, do you want to come? Tengo la resolución. I don't know who else you want to have up here. I want to recognize Dr. Carlos also. Gabriel, can we give that? Where's Gabriel? Gabriel? See? Yeah, well, they have a certificate. So these boxes are actually Texas flags with their own certificate showing that they were flown at the Capitol. And Paloma and Gabriel asked us to see if we could recognize certain individuals for their participation in this. And I definitely, I jumped at the opportunity to provide this. I think this is so neat to be able to have these small tokens to give to distinguished guests. So first, let me see. I had, let me read the resolution first to you all. Whereas over the years, diplomatic relations between the two countries have been severed on 3 occasions in 1845, 1858, and 1914. But since 1917, when U.S. Ambassador Henry P. Fletcher presented his credentials to President Venustiano Carranza, they have remained steady and unbroken. Whereas today, the United States and Mexico share a 2,000-mile border with 47 active ports of entry. Mexico is the second largest trading partner of the United States and #1 for Texas, with more than $725 billion in goods and services exchanged every year. Mexico is also the second largest foreign supplier of crude oil and the top destination of U.S. petroleum and natural gas exports. These economic bonds are further strengthened by cross-border investments in 2021. There was over $110.7 billion in U.S. investment in Mexico and over $48 billion invested by Mexican companies in the United States. And whereas Mexico and the United States are inextricably bound by history, culture, and their linked economies, and this milestone anniversary of their formal ties represents a fitting opportunity to pay tribute to the shared destiny of the two great nations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the bicentennial of diplomatic relations between the United States and Mexico be commemorated, and that the citizens of both nations be extended sincere best wishes for mutual respect and prosperity. And it's signed by your state representative. And here's the resolution. Let me recognize these two other folks at this time also. I was asked to provide a certificate also to students John Cheney and Eva Garavedian from the Del Rio High School for their participation as speakers at the commemoration, today's commemoration. So we have also a certificate and a nice little flag for you all. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Look forward to continuing to represent the great city of Del Rio, County of Valverde. I actually have the most counties that share a border with Mexico with, representing 9 out of the 14 counties. So thank you very much for that opportunity. Look forward to continuing to do that, and we're ready to get to work in January in the next legislative session. Thank you all.
Un fuerte aplauso por nuestro congresista Eddie Morales. One applause for our Congressman Eddie Morales. At this time, it gives me great joy to introduce to you our former mayor and vice president of the International Good Neighbor Council chapter of Del Rio, Dora Alcalá.
Good morning. Is it still good morning? It seems like, golly, we've been here a long time, but you know what? It's been wonderful. Little help here. It's been, I don't know, my heart was pounding, especially when we talked about the hermanamiento, becoming sister cities, because I hold a very special part in my heart for that. You know, it's a tough act to follow all these excellent, marvelous speakers without a node, con el corazón, with all this knowledge, and here I am. Well, let me tell you, it's exciting. It's exciting, and it is an adventure, and it is history in the making. Students, don't ever forget, no se olviden de este momento, de este día, de esta razón que estamos aquí, the reason that we're here. First of all, let me say congratulations, felicidades, enhorabuena to the Honorable, my dear friend, the Honorable Paloma Villaseñor, Consul of Mexico here in Del Rio, Texas. And I must point out, the first woman consul in the history of the creation of this consulate. Thank you. Thank you for bringing us together to commemorate such an important action taken by our two countries, the United States and Mexico. Paloma, felicidades de todo corazón. Un aplauso. On behalf of the International Good Neighbor Council, we thank you for inviting us to be here for such an important event. We have our president, Steve Nunez. Steve, I know you're here, you were introduced, and many, many of our members. We're a small group, but we are a really active, enthusiastic group. During COVID, we put together what we could of the Fiestas de Amistad with only 8 members of the International Good Neighbor. Thank you, Lord, for Zoom. We survived. What an honor it is for me to address a few words on the topic that is so near and dear to my heart. The importance of being good neighbors. You know, we've addressed many areas, economic development, you name it, but you know, the importance of bringing us together to commemorate this important action taken by our 2 countries in the establishment of diplomatic relations cannot be understated. And I will tell you from experience, I worked in Spain representing the United States, and it was tough. If we had not had that little papelito, that official document that established the rules, we would have had big problems. What does this really mean? Well, to me, it means that 200 years ago, those leaders on both sides of the country, on both sides of the Rio Grande, el Rio Bravo, shall we say, thought so much of the importance of having good relations. Good relations, formalized it, make it official, because when it comes to the nitty-gritty, si no está ahí, if the rules and regulations, and I will tell you, our representative will tell you that, we're also in trouble. Well, to me, since I am here representing the International Good Neighbor Council, it really means down to one thing: being good neighbors. Being good neighbors. How many of us really know our neighbors? Students, do you know your neighbors? ¿Conocen a sus vecinos? In this age of technology, cell phones, computer, text, emails, we don't really take the time to converse with our neighbors. Some of us may not even know our neighbors. I'm a people person, and to me, there is nothing that takes the place of personal communications. Vernos, ojo a ojo, cara a cara, mano a mano. There's nothing. You can tell me all about the texts and emails and everything else. And so that's why, when you really come to it, that's why we're here. Porque queremos conocernos, queremos escucharnos, queremos ser buenos vecinos. The IGNC, the International Good Neighbor Council, is so proud of the part that it plays here in our community. And one of the events we're very proud of every year is celebrating La Fiesta de la Amistad. What does it come to? Amistad, being good neighbors. This year, we celebrated our 62nd anniversary. Every year, we start our Fiesta de Amistad calendar very early in the year. And students, this involves you. We start in April, and we hold an art contest with the students of Del Rio High School. We tell the students, we want you to think about the relationship of the United States and Mexico. The reason that we celebrate La Fiesta de la Amistad is so that we can continue those excellent relations. And students, wow. Dr. Rios, you should be so proud. El talento, the talent, the knowledge, the things that they come up with. This is the 6th year, and we displayed some of the art. And then, when we select the art, which is very difficult, this year we had 10 entries, and we had to select 3. Actually, we had an honorable mention. And then we make these beautiful, precious medals. And we give them away, but we also sell them so that we can have the scholarships for the students. We give a first prize of $300, a second prize of $200, and a third prize of $100. So we are so proud. We are very, very proud of the little El Granito de Arena, that little grain of sand that we represent here in our community. So I'm not going to go on and on and on because we are, of course, we are human beings. You know, our pompies hurt and we want to stretch and all that, so you'll have an opportunity. So guess what? I'm going to say, in conclusion, let us be good neighbors. Let us move that agenda of diplomatic relations forward between our 2 countries, between our 2 cities, between our 2 neighbors, our sister city of Del Rio and Acuña. Let us move that agenda forward. Always remember, let's be good neighbors. Let's be considerate. Let's be giving. And like I always like to say at the end of anything that I always say, vamos adelante. Muchas gracias y Dios los bendiga a todos ustedes. Thank you.
Let's give our former mayor another huge round of applause. At this time, it gives me a great honor. We've had wonderful speakers here this morning, but I think that at this time that what is a great treat for us is to now look to the future and look at the voices and listen to the voices of our youth. Esa es una buena oportunidad. Muchas gracias a todos los presentantes, todos los dignitarios, las personas que han dado sus presentaciones esta mañana, pero esta es una bonita oportunidad para dar conocimiento a la juventud, nuestro futuro, y esas siguientes personas van a dar un poquito de su plática. A wonderful introduction here, so let's welcome Mr. John Chaney, student at Del Rio High School. John Chaney, come on up.
Hello, everyone. This year, we celebrate the 200th anniversary of the bilateral diplomacy between the U.S. and Mexico. More than 500 million North Americans have benefited from the USMCA, or the TMEC, and previously NAFTA. We've combated the flow of illicit drugs, slowed the climate crisis, worked towards a solution to migration, and have improved trade between both of our countries. While it is true that these agreements have fostered prosperity and congruence, the results can also be attributed to the individual interactions we see every day between our 2 countries. I want to start off by recognizing the great leaps and bounds we have made in terms of illicit drug flow, the climate crisis, migration, and international trade. These advancements have been forged through the combined efforts of the US and Mexico through billions of dollars, hundreds and thousands of men and women, and dozens of agencies. This is the very definition of congruence, agreement, and harmony. On a similar note, the prosperity has been displayed through the thriving commercial industry that has been cultivated through the various trade agreements over the past few decades. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, I believe a lot of this change can be attributed to the individual interactions we have on a daily basis. These interactions expose us to new ideas, new cultures, and new experiences, which allow us to better understand each other as individuals. This exposure results in better relations between individuals in our society and in positive policy change and development that addresses the roots and stems of the issues we face. In the past 200 years, our nations have come together to bring mutual prosperity. In doing so, we are able to combat the many issues that face us now and will face us in the future. And together, as individuals, we can continue to bring positive change that will impact our countries for the better.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Our next speaker her name is Iva Garabedian. Please welcome. She's a student of Del Rio High School.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Iva Garabedian. Soy miembro del Consejo Estudiantil de la Escuela Preparatoria de Del Rio. Hoy estamos celebrando el 200º aniversario de la relación diplomática entre los Estados Unidos y México. Nos reunimos hoy para reconocer los logros de unidad que se han mantenido durante los últimos 2 siglos y que seguirán manteniéndose intactos por la armonía que existe entre los dos países. Excuse me. Nuestro distrito siempre ha usado el lema "Juntos somos más fuertes". Esta frase también se puede aplicar a la unidad que existe entre los dos países y llega a manifestarse aún más con las acciones de sus habitantes. Mientras celebramos esta gran ocasión, hay que no olvidar la esperanza de un futuro próspero que se obtendrá a través de nuestra amistad. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Iva. Entonces, la segunda persona, vamos a introducir la señorita Ángela Araceli Martínez Montoya, representando, ella es una estudiante de la Universidad Vizcaya de las Américas, en Acuña.
Las ideologías nos separan, los sueños y las angustias nos unen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Angie Martinez, and I'm a student of Vizcaya University from Acuña, Coahuila. I'm glad to be here presenting my ideas about the great relationship between Mexico, United States, and the importance of it. La relación bilateral entre México y Estados Unidos es una relación compleja en la que se ven involucrados diversos actores e intereses políticos, económicos y simbólicos de ambos lados de la frontera. Es curioso pensar que esta relación comenzó con el conflicto político, social y derivado de la separación de Texas y que hoy en día México y Estados Unidos están entrelazados en ciertos tratados internacionales que buscan formar un mutualismo en el que las dos partes salgan beneficiadas, tales y como son las exportaciones de productos de las maquiladoras de México a Estados Unidos y su Tratado de Libre Comercio. A pesar de las posibles diferencias, México y Estados Unidos siempre han estado conectados y se han vuelto condependientes en ciertos sentidos. Generalmente, los cambios en las circunstancias económicas, políticas y sociales de uno de los dos países tienden a tener un impacto en el otro, ya sea directa o indirectamente. La existente relación bilateral juega un papel importante en el desarrollo de ambas naciones, siendo el comercio uno de los principales factores, tal y como fue mencionado antes. De acuerdo con el Departamento de Estados Unidos, los bienes y servicios que se han intercambiado tuvieron un valor de $57,300 millones, lo que convierte a México en el segundo socio comercial más importante para Estados Unidos. Además, este intercambio de bienes y servicios benefició la creación de empleos en ambos países, ya que en conjunto se logra crear alrededor de 1 millones de trabajos, según las cifras presentadas por el Departamento de Comercio. Analizando más a fondo este tema, nos encontramos con otro aspecto relevante dentro de esta relación. México ocupa un lugar importante en la economía de Estados Unidos por el tema del petróleo, una de las fuentes de energía más consumidas alrededor del globo. México siempre ha sido una fuente considerable de petróleo para su vecino del norte. México también fue el segundo proveedor más grande para Estados Unidos. Asimismo, quiero recalcar los siguientes puntos del porqué la cercanía de México y Estados Unidos. Su cercanía geográfica. Ambas naciones comparten una larga frontera que se extiende por casi 3.200 kilómetros. La frontera de México y Estados Unidos podría ser considerada uno de los puntos de intercambio de personas más grandes del mundo, ya que es impresionante pensar que en tan solo un día alrededor de 1 millón de personas cruzan esta frontera en ambas direcciones. Se estima que cerca de 1.6 millones de ciudadanos estadounidenses ahora residen en tierras mexicanas y que a la vez Estados Unidos es considerado el país con más mexicanos después de México. México también se ha convertido en el principal destino turístico para Estados Unidos. El intercambio de divisas, las cuales presentan una de las mayores fuentes de ingreso para México, gracias a los trabajadores que laboran en Estados Unidos y mandan dólares estadounidenses en forma de remesas a sus familias mexicanas. Una vez estos puntos mencionados, estoy convencida que tanto como México ha sido benéfico para Estados Unidos, como Estados Unidos para México, resaltando que durante la pandemia esta relación que se ha llevado de años atrás hizo que continuáramos fortaleciendo estos lazos por las emociones de tristeza y dolor que se llevaron. Es importante que esta relación continúe para el favor de ambas, asimismo creando eventos en los que ambos países puedan participar para que sus comunidades sean fortalecidas. Quiero agradecerle en nombre del Patronato Cultural de Vizcaya la invitación al Consulado Mexicano y del Río Paloma Villaseñor, al alcalde de la ciudad, Al Arreola, al superintendente Dr. Carlos Ríos por la hospitalidad que nos ha dado, al jefe consular del Consulado General en Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Robert Dark, director de la Universidad Vizcaya, Fernando Tovar, al congresista del Distrito 74 del Estado de Texas, Eddie Morales, y al representante del alcalde Emilio de Hoyos, Alberto de Luna. Muchas gracias.
Un fuerte aplauso para Ángela, muchas gracias. We have now come to the last portion of this wonderful presentation and commemoration ceremony. Hemos llegado ya a la última porción de este evento, de esta conmemoración, y vamos a presentar un panel. We're going to do a panel. We're going to do something just a little bit different, and it's probably one of my favorite things to do, is to have conversations with our students. So I'm going to invite some of them back. We're going to invite our students, Ms. Ricardo Torres from Del Rio High School and Nia Guajardo. Please come forward. They're going to join me up here on stage. And Christopher Iván Vargas Chávez, son estudiantes de la Universidad Vizcaya de las Américas. Y Ángela, que la que conocieron ahorita, la oradora, Ángela Araceli Martínez Montoya. Por favor, pasen al frente. Vamos a darles un fuerte abrazo, que se han puesto un poco nerviosos, quizá. We can have our panelists come forward. They're going to come join me up here. Hi, take a seat. Pasen adelante. I'll come to this side. And I'm going to give you a microphone. Wonderful. Let's do some introductions. Thank you. So this is a perfect portion. This is an opportunity we've heard our adults. Hemos escuchado los adultos, los representantes. This time it's your turn. We're going to listen to our youth. Ahora les toca a ustedes. Vamos a escuchar a nuestra juventud. Porque la voz de los jóvenes es bien importante. Como se ha dicho un poquito antes, la juventud es nuestro futuro. Okay? Our future, ustedes, our future. You guys are the future, and it is important, certainly, that we have so many wonderful representatives and elected officials that are doing a wonderful job. Now, but we have to look to the future. And so I want you to feel comfortable, because we want to hear from your point of view. This is ahora su punto de vista. So I'm going to ask a few questions, just a few questions, and I'd like to see how you feel, and feel free to answer the question. I'll answer, los voy a hacer la pregunta en inglés y otra en español, y la que le guste contestar, pueden contestar. Vamos a tomar, we'll take turns, okay? So let's begin with the very first question. So, how would you describe the relationship between the sister cities of Del Rio and Ciudad Acuña? ¿Cómo pueden describir la relación entre las ciudades de Del Rio y de Ciudad Acuña?
Okay, so right now I see it as very strong, but there is always room for improvement.
You can elaborate. Keep going. How's that? Tell us how can we improve?
We can improve by keeping an open mind of both cultures. Like in Del Rio High School, for the second year actually, we started our Mexican American studies with our history classes. And I know that a lot of people were interested in that, and just keeping an open mind, everyone, from the students to our adults.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. A ver, ¿algún estudiante? ¿Cómo puede describir las relaciones entre las ciudades de Del Rio y Ciudad Acuña?
Bueno, yo creo que es una relación muy importante y muy fuerte, como lo mencionaban, ya que ahorita en el discurso que hizo mi compañera menciona tanto los temas como la exportación, la migración. Yo creo que son temas muy importantes entre los dos países que hacen que crezcan económica, socialmente a ambos.
Muy bien, muy bien. Okay, so let's give them a round of applause. Muy bien. Hablando de las relaciones, talking about the relationships between the United States and Mexico, what do you think are our strengths? ¿Qué son las áreas que son bien fuertes en la relación entre la relación entre los Estados Unidos y México? ¿Cuáles son las cosas que son muy fuertes de nuestra relación?
I would say that our strengths would be events like this to make sure that we are always connected. Yet we are so different. Once we come together, we come like beautiful, and it's like interlying like beautifully, and I really like that. And I believe once we continue events like this, it's great to learn more about each other and our cultures.
Wonderful. So having events like this would be an asset to us for us to continue as a strength. Muy bien. Okay, ¿algún otro comentario?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Me gustaría mencionar que eventos como estos, como dice mi compañera, hacen no nada más que estemos juntos como Estados Unidos, como Del Rio y Acuña, sino que nuestras comunidades son las que se unen. Entonces, si una comunidad está unida, va a ser muy fácil las demás cosas. Por ejemplo, mencionaba el tema de migración, el tema de COVID, fueron, si no me equivoco, 1.1 millones que fueron de vacunas donadas a México. México también fue donadas a otros países, a las vacunas que fueron. Entonces, esta comunidad ha sido muy fortalecida y gracias a eso nuestras comunidades se han ayudado también como en la salud, que es uno de los factores muy importantes para que una relación sea fortalecida como países.
Muchas gracias.
Complementando lo que decía mi compañera, yo creo que el apoyo es lo más importante, lo que hace la fuerza o que sea más grande la relación entre ambos países. Así como mencionaba lo de COVID, Estados Unidos fue de los primeros que tuvo vacuna, entonces ayudaron a México para que toda la población estuviera vacunada. A lo mejor no toda, pero lo que pudieron contribuir, entonces el apoyo siempre va a ser indispensable.
Muy bien, muy bien. El apoyo entre el Estados Unidos y aquí de nuestras ciudades. Muy bien. Ahora vamos a cambiar, llegando en ese tema, hablando de, tuvimos un comentario sobre el estado económico de nuestras ciudades. What joint measures, entonces lo voy a hacer la pregunta en inglés. What joint measures by the governments of Mexico and the United States would you propose to improve the lives of the residents on both sides of the border? Okay. Entonces la pregunta es, ¿qué medidas se pueden hacer los gobiernos de México y de los Estados Unidos? ¿Qué proponían? ¿Qué podemos proponer para mejorar las vidas de todas las personas que viven aquí en los ambos lados de la frontera?
Yo creo que incrementar el campo laboral. Yo creo que hablando en la parte de Acuña, lo más fuerte en cuanto a campo laboral es la industria maquilera, que viene de Estados Unidos la mayor parte. Entonces, para ambos, yo creo que se beneficia tanto Estados Unidos como México. Estados Unidos crece como industria y México se le da un apoyo en el campo laboral, porque yo creo que la mayoría de la población en cuanto a frontera o en cuanto a Acuña se dedica a la industria maquilera.
Muy bien, gracias. Okay, anyone else? The joint measures from the United States and Mexico. What if the governments were to come together and propose to improve the lives of the residents in both sides of the border? What would that be?
I would say it would be really important to visit the two cities more, as if our government goes to their side and see what they need help with. Likewise, they come over to our side and they look at our town and see where they can help as well.
Wonderful answer, thank you. So going along with the conversations that we've heard, the speeches that we heard earlier today, what improvements do you think are opportunities, do you think, someone mentioned maquiladoras, hablando de maquiladoras, what new opportunities for economic development do you see in our region? Okay. ¿Qué nuevas oportunidades de desarrollo económico pueden ver en nuestra región? ¿Qué piensan? ¿Qué podría hacer para desarrollar nuestra económica? ¿Alguna idea?
Pues como fue antes mencionado, la industria petrolera es algo muy importante para aquí. Asimismo, yo he visto que muchos jóvenes, bueno, no nada más de Acuña, también de Del Río, vienen a trabajar aquí. Entonces, esa es una muy grande oportunidad como jóvenes, por ejemplo, que salen de la high school y que quieren empezar a tener su experiencia laboral, porque para tener un buen trabajo, tener una gran posición, tenemos que tener experiencia laboral, tenemos que tener estudios, tenemos que tener algo que nos lleve a eso. Entonces, que aquí se dé la oportunidad, en Acuña también, pero es más visible aquí, entonces que se dé la oportunidad para los jóvenes empezar con su vida laboral, empezar a aprender cómo se maneja una tienda, un inventario, una supervisión de noche o así, es algo muy importante.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Hablando un poquito más de ese tema y de su respuesta, ¿qué oportunidades podemos o qué medidas podemos tomar el distrito escolar, los distritos escolares o las universidades, que podemos mejorar el entendimiento de las relaciones entre los Estados Unidos y México? So what measures would you propose in our schools, whether it's here in the school district or in schools in Mexico, so that we can improve the understanding and strengthen our friendship between the residents of Del Rio and Acuña?
Okay, so like I said before, we started offering Mexican-American studies, and I feel like those are very beneficial to strengthening our friendship with Mexico. So just acknowledging and giving the knowledge to the students and the opportunity to learn about Mexico overall.
Great answer. Thank you.
Yo considero que no hay mejor ejemplo como en el que estamos presentes, hacer este tipo de conferencias o paneles donde gente involucrada en el proceso de la relación México-Estados Unidos nos nos muestre o nos cuente cómo se lleva a cabo, los beneficios que trae. Entonces yo creo que hacer más eventos como este fomentarían mucho el conocimiento y el interés por saber más de la relación México-Estados Unidos.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. And we're going to do a couple of more questions. So we talked about the strengths and between the relationships between the United States and Mexico. So hemos hablado de la relación entre los Estados Unidos y México. And we talked about this level at the city level, en la ciudad. Estamos hablando de esta área. Vamos a suponer que ahorita están hablando o tienen la oportunidad de hablar con congresistas, con personas ya a nivel estatal, federal. ¿Qué sugerencia les sugerías para ayudar a nuestra comunidad? So the question is, so we spoke about the local level and the support to be able to develop at the local level, but what would you tell if you had the opportunity to speak to our congressmen at the state level, even at the federal level, what would you say to them that you think that we need for our community?
Yo creo que profundizar un poco más sobre los temas en cuanto a seguridad, exportación, importación, el cuidado del agua, porque compartimos la presa de la amistad y sí, yo creo que esos serían los principales temas a abordar en cuanto a para como que mejorar.
Okay, muchas gracias. Anyone else? If you have the opportunity to speak to a congressman and what could we tell them that we would need here in our community that would support our community?
I think it's been said quite a few times today that the students are our future. So if I had the chance to speak to a congressman, I would say that they would need to have like an open mind for listening to younger students or just younger individuals and listen to their ideas or what they have to say for our cities.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great answer. So along with, and just moving from the theme we have the city and we have our national and state level representatives. Now we talk about business people. This is our economy. Estamos hablando ahora, tocando del comercio, de ahora los trabajos, las carreras. What ideas do you have? ¿Qué es lo que necesitamos en nuestra comunidad? What is it, if you were to speak to business people, businessmen, si tenemos la oportunidad de hablar con nuestros comerciantes, ¿qué le podríamos decir tocante el esfuerzo y qué es lo que necesitamos para nuestra comunidad? Reforzar nuestra comunidad.
Yo diría que más que nada, si estoy hablando con alguien que quiere invertir o alguien de negocios, un businessman, yo le diría que México en general, no nada más Acuña, obvio, es de gente de trabajo. Si vemos 100 años atrás, si vemos 10 años atrás, cómo estaba Acuña, hablando en Acuña en general, veríamos demasiados cambios en las calles, en el sector de salud, en cómo están los nuevos negocios, en que hay nuevos negocios. Entonces, yo le diría que sería una buena elección, ya que somos gente de trabajo, somos gente que quiere superarse, somos gente que no se va a quedar con las manos en lo que tenemos y nada más. Somos gente que si nos ponen un trabajo con una muestra de capacitación de algo nuevo, con gusto y obviamente lo haríamos de una manera muy buena. Así que le diría que no sería nada más en vano que lo haga.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak to just the development of the businesses and commercial here in our area?
Yo creo que también sería importante hacer un censo en cuanto a las necesidades que tengan, en este caso, hablando más en específico en estas dos ciudades, hacer un censo en qué necesidades ocupa la población, para de eso poder hacer una economía, poner un negocio, una empresa que cumpla o satisfazca las necesidades de ambas partes. Entonces yo creo que también podría ser una manera de crecer económicamente porque satisfaces las necesidades de la población y creces económicamente.
Ok, muy bien. Voy a tomar el riesgo. I'm going to take the risk because just from this theme, what is it that we need? ¿Qué es lo que necesitamos? What would you like for us to have here in our community? ¿Qué es lo que es un deseo, algo que podrían desarrollar? ¿Qué es lo que podríamos intentar que no hemos platicado? Voy a tomar ese riesgo de hacerle las preguntas, sobre todo para los comerciantes o las personas que, if you were to tell them something, how would we develop that? Any ideas?
Yo diría a lo que yo he visto como ciudadana, como persona que también viene aquí, yo diría que en la cuestión de salud. Acabamos de pasar una pandemia que impactó muchas familias, muchos amigos, y yo creo que en salud deberíamos de invertir un poquito más. Para el momento de las vacunas era de que venir aquí, luego que te vacunaran y checar si había, si no había, y en eso ya nos contagiamos y luego nos andábamos muriendo en mi casa. Entonces yo creo que invertir en el sector de salud sería algo muy importante. Sería algo que yo como ciudadana le diría a alguien que invierta. Asimismo en la seguridad. Sabemos que hay temas muy delicados que no hay que mencionar, pero que sabemos que no podemos salir tanto tiempo de noche, a largas horas, y son cosas que no deberían de ser, porque como comunidad deberíamos cuidarnos a nosotros mismos. Entonces es algo que yo también pediría que se invirtiera. Asimismo, a los jóvenes, que haya más lugares para que puedan crecer, más lugares en los que puedan desarrollarse, más actividades en música, en artes, en cocina, en comercio, en cualquier otro tipo, para que nosotros podamos crecer y podamos tener un futuro mejor.
Thank you very much.
Complementando también, podrían ser áreas de recreación, aterrizando un poquito más la idea, y áreas de cultura, como también mencionó, música, artes plásticas, teatro, danza, abordar las disciplinas artísticas y culturales para que haya todavía una mejor relación, que se puedan mezclar ambas culturas y se pueda llevar bien a cabo.
Muy bien. So, thank you so much. Audience, please give our youth a huge, great applause. Thank you so much. Please stand. I have Ricardo, Nia, Angela, and Christopher. Thank you so much. Your voice is so important, and please, we congratulate you on everything that you do. You have done a fantastic job. Let's give them another round of applause. We have one final message. And again, I'd like for you to please welcome back our consul.
Muchas gracias. Quería tomar un momento para presentar regalitos en nombre de la cónsul General Diana Kim del Consulado General de los Estados Unidos de Nuevo Laredo como un símbolo de nuestro agradecimiento por su participación en este chat. Muchas gracias. We have small tokens of appreciation on behalf of Consul General Diana Kim, whom I am representing today, to all of you for your participation in this event and this opportunity to hear directly from the young people from the future, la voz del futuro aquí en Del Río y Ciudad Acuña. Muchísimas gracias. Okay. Y también para Sandra.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay.
So this concludes our ceremony today. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to learn from our community, our consul. Thank you very much for organizing this spectacular event. Our school board president, our superintendent of schools, we want to thank you very much. And I believe we have some additional wonderful certificates of recognition. And these certificates read an appreciation for their participation in the 200th anniversary of diplomatic relations, celebration, United States and Mexico. This one goes to Iva Garabedian. We have Iva. Come on up to the stage. This is also an appreciation to John Cheney. Thank you so much, John. Let's give him a round of applause. This certificate goes to Christopher Ivan Vargas Chavez. Christopher. Ese certificado para Nia Guajardo. Nia, congratulations. This certificate goes to Ricardo Torres. Thank you, Ricardo. And this goes to Angela Araceli Martinez Montoya. Muchas gracias, Angela. And we have one more certificate for Kimberly Gloria, but I understand that she couldn't join us here. There she is. Here she is, Miss Kimberly. Yes, so they are signed. Each of your certificates was wonderful to place them in a very nice plaque. They are signed by our superintendent of schools, Dr. Carlos Rios, the head consulate of Mexico, Ms. Villaseñor, and the chief of the consular section, U.S. Consulate, General Nuevo Laredo, Mr. Dalkey. So what a wonderful, wonderful recognition. Let's give them a round of applause to our youth. If our students can come on up. We're going to take a nice picture, and I want you to look up there on the stage. Wonderful, wonderful. One last round of applause. Thank you once again for joining us on this wonderful celebration. All of our dignitaries, all of our representatives today, thank you so much. I believe we're going to invite you over to have some treats we're going to have a little bit of a refreshments at the very outside, I believe. So thank you so much for your wonderful participation here this morning. Thank you.